Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the 7th episode of the Tales from the Brick podcast. Here with me tonight, I have the very first OG on this fucking place from very Long Beach, California, weighing in at 5 pounds of cock meat. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend himself, Sexxxy Eddy. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Cheers, Francesco.
Yeah, this man, for those who don't know, is a fucking legend. And he's been pretty much everywhere. He also wrestled in Japan for DDT. And if I can remember correctly, it actually it actually was Danshoku Dino who did it. He put his fucking head in his pants. So this man is still alive after doing that. And he's still alive after cut his fucking artery. And I recently watched that match, and he actually did. He actually ended the match with an artery fucking cut open. He also drank his blood from there. This man is a lunatic, man. By the way,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, and I'm always glad to hear from fans all across the world, and people that still remember me. You say that I'm lucky to be alive. I'm still surprised how I'm still alive. I don't understand it. Is it all the alcohol that I drink? Is it all the women that I have sex with? I mean, maybe it's a little bit of everything. But there's just something in me that just will never die. And I can't explain it, but I'll be donating my penis to science when I do pass away. So
yeah, Rasputin did it as well. So I don't see any problem in you doing that. And what surprises me the most about it is all of Rolling Stones members are still alive. So I mean, you're in your 40s. Can we say that?
Yeah, well, because I started wrestling when I was 3 years old, so I've been wrestling for 20 years. So you know what? To the girls, I always say, "How old do you think I am?" And whatever answer they tell me, they are 30, because they never want to insult you. And I say, "Hey, you got it exactly." So that's yeah. But I'm in my 40s now. But I sleep in a special airtight chamber to keep the sexiness preserved and alive throughout the ages, because this motherfucker is gonna live forever.
Yeah, and his legacy too. So, talking about legacy, my first question to you is: in 2004, Combat Zone Wrestling held the third edition of TOD. For those who don't know, Tournament of Death, the most important tournament at least it was the most important tournament back in the day. And you ended up winning in the semifinals against Arsenal. But as we said before, unfortunately, you literally cut your artery open after a really bad spot on a light tube bundle. And you were supposed to join Wife Beater and Necro Butcher in the finals. What did actually happen? Like, why they? I mean, it's obvious why they did it, but how the things went. Like you were supposed to go there, and I think you would if they didn't stop you. So what did happen?
So first, for people that don't know, you can cut a vein, you can cut yourself, but when you cut an artery, you can bleed to death. And again, the reaction that I got was not maybe the reaction at the beginning that the crowd or even that Zandig was expecting. My first match was against one of his guys from CZW, and then my second round match was against one of IWS guys, because we were representing three companies at that tournament. So IWS from Canada, CZW Combat Zone Wrestling that was hosting the event, and IWA Mid South. So they had a few wrestlers from each company to represent, and I was chosen to go to the finals. As it went after the first round, people hated me, and I wanted to get a good impact. So for my first round, I asked the promoter, "Can I have your wife so I can do my little strip, take off my clothes so people know who my character is?" This was, mind you, my debut in the United States. So I knew I had to do something big. So if I want them to hate me, this guy that's in his underwear, very cocky, what does he think he's doing in a death match? And this is after many death matches in Canada, but in the USA, the bar goes higher. So we had something to prove. I had something to prove, and we had something to prove as our company, International Wrestling Syndicate, going into this tournament. So first round, they hated me, which that was my job. Second round, wrestling against another one of us, our guys, the crowd kind of had to pick who's going to go face, who's going to go heel. And yeah, midway during the match, I split my artery, didn't realize how serious that was. And by the end of the match, the crowd, everyone had seen the blood pissing from my arm, until I realized, why are they reacting so loud? And then when I saw this, Well, I kind of capitalized from this, as anyone that have seen any horror movie with Freddy Krueger or Jason from Friday the 13th. I seen these movies so much as a kid. Somebody cuts off their arm, their leg, and I start laughing. So it looked like a horror movie scene, and the blood was coming out. It was surreal. It was like a movie scene. So in my brain that wasn't working too well, I thought, if I'm losing a lot of blood, I have to keep it in my body. So I put it in my mouth, and I thought, maybe if I drink my blood, it'll stay in me, which no, you end up
fucking
throwing it up.
genius. A fucking
Right?
genius.
That's what I thought. I thought, hey, I've watched enough of doctor movies to know this, but again, I was wrong. So he threw up the blood later on at night and stuff too. But so I was supposed to advance to the finals, and really, sometimes they have their predetermined, this guy is going to win it this year, or this guy deserves it this year. I was kind of the the dark horse. Nobody expected this, and so to advance in that three-way, Zandig was almost like, you know what? We'll see how the crowd goes, and we'll see, and we'll call it on the fly. Maybe, if he says, okay, we want this guy to win, the ref might pass the message on and say, hey, we're giving it to this guy. Anything could have happened.
Yeah, it was a maniac for this. I watched the interview with Kevin Steen, and when he gave the title to Lufisto, I mean, it was very, he deserved that, but like it was surreal. But anyway, continue with your story.
Yeah, so there's different moments where, sometimes the decisions are changed. I mean, in WWE, everything is pre-written, sometimes weeks, months in advance. Again, things could happen, injuries, or something could happen, right? And it could always change a little bit, but they have their predetermined roads where the wrestlers are going to be going, and the storylines that are going to happen until pay-per-views and stuff like that. And, everyone, it resets almost after WrestleMania. You get new storylines, you get new ideas. Here, it's a little different where, sometimes the crowd wants something, and you're like, do I give it to them? Do we don't? What do we do? So it'll always be a mystery if I would have won that or not. But it didn't change the fact that I had cemented my name after that match.
Yeah, you gained some momentum after that, I remember.
And after doing this death match and introducing International Wrestling Syndicate, that's when they said, we want more wrestlers from here. We want more wrestlers. Now let's bring in some technical wrestlers. Let's bring in some guys, different guys who could high flyers and stuff. So we brought in different guys, including Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and another guy, XS, where we did a four-way, and that was in September, a couple months after. I got a hero's welcome coming down the ramp, which I did not expect. I mean, just coming through the curtain and everyone was on their feet, I knew this was going to be special. And then the match we did a lot of what we'd done before, but it was new to the American fans, and they really discovered us, and it just was a snowball effect where they wanted more guys, and we were doing comedy, we were doing different styles of matches, and they were seeing, hey, these guys have something, and the crowd is loving them. So, man, let's all make some money, right?
Yeah.
And that's the snowball effect of from the United States, and then it jumped for me. We started going to New Jersey, and then it was like a couple months after that, I was already in Germany and England. And I did not know what was happening.
You wrestle for WXW in Germany or for some other promotion? I mean, there's Thumbtack Jack that came out from that promotion, and he went forward winning like TOD and Carnage Cup. And talking about Carnage Cup, my next question is, there was actually some weird story, I think, but I don't know, because you can never say with Kevin Brennan. You won Carnage Cup in 2009, defeating Drake Younger, who is better known as Rick Wars, a referee from WWE NXT right now, and Danny Havoc in the semifinals, and then you went up against Thumbtack Jack in the finals, and it was like a really violent match with the I'm still have nightmares from the double fish hooks camel clutch he gave you, like fucking god. But I checked out, and I don't know if wrestling archives online are like worse than some others, but it says that you actually never competed in IWA Deep South again after that one. So how did the things go? Like, that's mind-blowing. You won a tournament against the 2009 deathmatch draw and then poof, you disappeared. What happened?
I think again, sometimes fans ask me, "Hey, when are you going to come to our country? When are you going to come and wrestle for us?" And they got to understand it's not our choice, or we don't just buy our plane tickets and go to different countries, because then it would be a very expensive lifestyle,
I'll
right?
interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There are wrestlers in Italy who actually do this because they want to get over. I was like at WAW for to the nights, and they were like, "Yeah, they picked me." No, they didn't pick you, you dickhead. You paid for that. But anyway, continue.
When you live in Europe or like the countries are closer, and the plane's not as expensive, but when you're going to overseas from North America or going to Japan, the ticket is very expensive. So I mean, if somebody goes on their holidays and they go to wrestle and they ask and they get to do on a show, then that's cool. But when you get to earn that, where companies want your services and they're paying your hotel and your flight, then you know that you really mean something to them. I mean, like you say, anyone can go on holiday somewhere and you can ask some promotion, say, I'm a wrestler from this country. And that's a good way to get your name some places. I mean, and if you have the means, great. But when they actually contact you and you fly down and everything and they take care of it. So that's what I'm trying to explain to some fans when they're like, hey, come to our country, come to our country. I always tell them, you have to talk to the promoters and let them know that
Same
you're
thing.
interested,
Same
right?
thing here in
So
Italy. Yeah.
yeah, so the same thing happened there. It was like, I won that tournament and Kevin was big on me at that time, and this was the first time where I was like, I'm winning this, like kind of like I could win this against top caliber opponents. But we did all of my matches I was proud of, those matches against those great guys, and it surprised me a little bit, but then I realized, hey, I am capable of doing this. I can do it. I can't do it as much as legends in this business like Necro Butcher, Matt Tremont. I mean, these guys, they're doing it every weekend almost, and it was just at a point I'd see them a lot at shows, and I'm like, holy shit, what are you guys doing this week? And they're like, another death match thing, and I'm like, man, I'm wrestling a girl in a Viagra on a pole match or something. You know what I mean? So it gives me a break sometimes. It gives my body a break, because when you're doing just death matches every weekend, fans got to understand too. There's hardcore matches, which include ladders, tables, and chairs. Then there's death matches, which is guaranteed blood, which usually will include thumbtacks, light tubes, panes of glass, barbed wire. So it's a different level. You'll get sore, but you'll also get scarred. Tables, chairs, and ladders, you might get bruised up and stuff, and you might have some color. There might be some blood, but when it's a death match, it's guaranteed to take. You leave a piece of yourself in that ring that night.
Yeah,
You always come out of that different. Yeah.
I've heard about actually competitors, deathmatch competitors who were into deathmatch that ended up like passing maybe 2 days in bed after doing deathmatch tournaments, because just as long as it's one match, if you don't go so over it, you're like, okay, I think, because of course I've never wrestled and nevertheless deathmatch, but I mean, you can think, all right, it's one match. I'll go pretty heavy on this one, and then I'll get up tomorrow morning and I'll be so fucking tired and I will probably be hurt from glass, blah, 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 blah. But when you do 3 death matches in one night, or maybe 6 death matches in 2 days, because I don't know how, but people actually did King of the Death matches 2 days in a row back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you're gonna be in bed for 2 days. It's mind-blowing. And for someone like you who did actually live the soul in the ring, it's perfectly understandable. And I was supposed to ask you this question in the end, but now that you actually put this on the plate, will you ever, I checked also on this, I did my homework, of course, but I haven't seen you in death matches recently. I saw you did a Lego death match, I think in IWS maybe, but you actually didn't do death matches with panes of glass or shit like that. So will you ever do that again? Maybe when COVID fucking, hands?
We're all praying for that. But I've kind of taken, I pick and choose my death matches. And like, I forgot to answer this question just before. Yeah, with the Carnage Cup, even though I won the Carnage Cup, I think that it takes 1 year later for the next one. Sometimes certain people's popularities go down and some people's go up. So, you know, to fit everyone and to make your budget where you're like, it's going to cost this plane from this to this. Well, we saw him last year. We don't need to have him again, because people have asked me that. Once you take a past winner and bring him back. But again, it always comes down to money and budgets. And sometimes, you know, you have your years where you're on top of the world, and then you have some, you take a dip, and you're only as popular as, let's say, your last match or your last big moment. Because after I drank my own blood, you know, I went viral and I was an internet darling for a little bit, but then it was someone else that did something else that happened.
Yeah,
And that became,
it always happens with deathmatch, of course.
Yeah. So, and the work that deathmatch wrestlers have to do with, like, you know, it's one thing to have tournaments where it's, you know, like a kind of a king of the ring or best of the best. But again, these ones take a lot out of you because it's, not just one. It's almost always these guys who get booked in tournament matches. So that's the reason maybe they didn't book me again. They calculated their flights, and maybe they had some local guys, closer living guys, that they're like, hey, this guy is willing to do this and kill himself. Because there's some things like we're all not willing to go to. Some guys, you know, when you're young, and when I started, I kind of said, fuck the world. I can do anything. I will do anything. You know, as you get smarter, as injuries happen on your body, and as you realize there's other things in wrestling, in life to enjoy, you kind of say, you know what, I got to pick what I can and can't do. Because, you know, even if my brain is still partying like an 18-year-old, the body takes a toll and takes a beating.
Yeah, the brain and the body, yeah.
Some of these ladder shots or jumping from high places and things like that, you know, you're not supposed to do these things in life. But my body's taken a hell of a beating, and I'm still standing. I don't know why. But so, you know what, you got to kind of realize and take things a little easier. So I'll never say that I won't take another death match. It just hasn't been in a while. There hasn't been something interesting for me to take, or even a match that a draw that crowds would be, wow, Sexxxy Eddy versus this guy. Oh my God, in this kind of match, that would be phenomenal. That would be exciting, extraordinary, you know? So until that happens, and until a promoter would say, you know, we have this guy that's similar like you, and I think you guys could do a good match in this certain stipulation or something, you know, then so I never say no to it, but it will have to be something interesting, because
something about the bigger stage, something that is actually built to last in the time, like one night stand, maybe before in the ring and after in the bed. But anyway, double header.
But I've had some fun matches, and some promoters have seen that I'm able to do other things too, and I was able to adapt, which some guys can't, to change up their style, or to show that, hey, I still do death matches, but I do a lot of comedy in my matches. I also used to do a lot more high flying back in the day, but I landed a couple times badly on my neck, and it kind of scares you after that. So I tell a lot of up and coming wrestlers, I'm like, hey man, listen to the pop I get, listen to the reaction the crowd gives me when I rip my pants off. And I'm not even doing a backflip or anything like that. Like, you know what I mean? So if I can get that reaction just by ripping my pants off, I can do that literally 10 times a day. I'd be able to do a lot of shows ripping my pants off. But if my big move is a double shooting star press to the floor, you know what? There's one time where a guy won't catch you good, or you'll slip, the rope will snap, and you land on your neck, and that's it. That's end of your career. You're in a wheelchair, not just killing your character, you know, for the rest of your life. So it made me kind of think of things and realize, hey man, we do this for the reaction of the crowd. I don't need to kill myself every night to get a good reaction from the crowd. So it made me go to some comedy, and I always look at the card. I look at the wrestling matches before me and after me, and I say, what's missing? What are they putting in? Okay, so and when the match after me, so I kind of adjust my match and I play with that. And I say, yeah, I'm going to put some dick spots in here. I'm going to put some, something in there that'll make the people laugh. And then we'll get to some serious stuff. But I like to show the crowd, and to test myself, but I like to show the crowd especially that I'm very versatile, a hybrid wrestler.
Yeah,
I can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are. I can remember that you could actually do, like, people always quote the fact that Nate Webb, who is, in my opinion, one of the best independent wrestling that ever lived, very underrated. He can do everything, literally everything, from deathmatch to comedy to a good professional wrestling match. It did the moonsault with the chair, but you were sick enough to do it with a trash can over
Yeah.
you. So I mean, that was mind blowing. You did it in CCW, if I can remember correctly, like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe.
Even before that, I think it was the first time that I did it was at Cage of Death. So it was my first year at CZW. So I'm gonna say 2004, 2004. Yeah. So end of 2004, December was the first time I did it and off of a cage. Now I had done this 5 years prior in Canada. I was doing it already 5 years before, 6 years even. So I was doing it once in a while at certain shows and stuff. And I didn't think much of it. And now, as time passes, people are like, what the fuck? How do you do a backflip not using your arms and not even seeing where you're going? You know?
Yeah, that's sick. But talking about this, you were doing in IWS, and if I can remember, IWS was Jacques Rougeau's property. It was no, it wasn't the Booker.
No, 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 no. Actually, he had his own promotion. And again, when everyone talks about Canadian wrestling, they'll talk about Bret Hart. They'll talk about there's certain names, and especially like in Montreal or in the province of Quebec, which is the same as like a state. It's a province.
Yeah,
People always say Jacques Rougeau, and he gets credited for everything in Quebec. Um,
I
you know
saw
what?
his
There's
interview for Dino Bravo, and I think he was a douchebag, by the way. I think it
he
seems like he's some kind of very cocky bastard. I mean, you portrayed a fucking Mountie. I mean, you had some good matches, but it was all of Roddy Piper's merits. So fuck you.
I mean, again, as a wrestler, I loved him. I loved his facial
Me too.
expressions,
Me
especially
too.
the
But
fabulous Rougeos. He always had his tongue out, and he did some fun stuff that I was like, I like this. But when it comes to a person, unfortunately, I have a bad experience with him. I know other people that have had bad experiences with him, so it kind of adds up, right? You know, if I knew more people that had good stories to say about him, but I knew more people that had dick stories to say about him. So it's too bad. So he owned his own company, a family-oriented company where the wrestlers are not allowed to punch and kick each other. Only the veterans like Kurgan, or he had King Kong Bundy, or the Nasty Boys, they were allowed to kick and punch. But he didn't let his students kick and punch because he said that's not family. I mean, even though he was zapping people with a cattle prod in WWF at the time. So it's kind of, I don't want to say hypocritical, but that's the way he was going. He really despised our company, and IWS is where when Kevin Steen left Jacques
yeah,
Rougeau,
I know the
he
story.
came to us. You know, so that's the thing. He saw, hey, there's fans. This is a different kind of wrestling, and Jacques Rougeau also was training his guys to do the same match for about 6 months, over and
Same
over and
there.
over.
There is a promo. I will probably get heat for this, but I don't know if I can't
Who cares?
if
Who
they
cares?
can understand English, and I'm a fucking it seeker, by the way, so I don't give a fuck. There's a promotion who did does until now exactly the same thing. Like I've been at their shows for 10 years because I was fucking dumb. I don't know why. And even though there were some really technically you know, skilled
Yeah.
performers, they did the same match every time. And when I was into independent wrestling, when I started to be into independent wrestling, and like 2014, 2015, and I saw these workers going up on the turnbuckle and starting trying, you know, they started to try to get people attention, like cheer for me. And I was like, man, you're fighting a wrestling match. All you have to do is wrestling and tell a story in the ring. So I can understand that frustration with Jacques Rougeau teaching their students to do the same match for 6 months. But what I wanted to ask you is, IWS actually was into deathmatch, and they also did a show at the Collective like 1 year ago. And the thing is, do you have any story about Rougeau, uh, you know, throwing virtual shit to you and other performers for evolving professional wrestling? Like, it was an old school guy. So you were doing some sick shit. I mean, do you have any story about this, about him blaming you
No,
for
no. You
this?
know what? From what I've heard, he doesn't go much on social media, so he'd only know what his students that were on social media were telling him. But I can't blame him because old guys will always love that old school mentality. And I mean, I've had this discussion with a lot of people about Jim Cornette. I respect him. I respect his
Me
views,
too.
but you know, we still butt heads where I was nobody, and already he blocked me on Twitter, and I was like, I didn't even know him. I didn't even approach him for a friend ad. I was just learning about Twitter not too long ago. It took me a while to get into technology, but I was like, already because of association, because people like, oh, he's not a wrestler like the Midnight Express. He's not a wrestler like my cookie cutter or idea of what a wrestler is. And it's like, whatever, because I like his views, but you know, he's interesting. He's a good speaker. But the thing is, everything, everything in the world evolves. Every job, every idea, it needs to evolve. If not, it's good to respect the past and to
Of
take
course.
from the roots from the past, but you have to evolve. And so guys that will kiss ass of people in, let's say, NXT, but will shit on independent wrestlers, they kind of forget that all those NXT guys were
We're
independent
actually
guys.
independent wrestlers, yeah.
Exactly. You know,
But
so but because they're at that big stage, now people discover them. And 99.9 or 99.8 percent of the world's wrestling fans are like WWE fans. That's like a fact.
yeah,
So when people do recognize me from outside and stuff, it's nice because I know that they've done their homework. I know that they know the roots of certain people, because the people that would see there was a funny video where Kevin Owens did a move to someone, and people were like, "Oh my God, wow, wow!" Or even CM Punk did something, and it was like, "I can show you this move he did 15 years ago against Samoa Joe." You know what I mean? And it's like Dean Ambrose, another guy that some guys made it so big, and people just said they just assumed that that's their first day of wrestling is at WWE, and they're on TV, and that's how they start. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. There are people, I think there are people who are the opposite of this, who can still be very annoying. Like, um, this just for me, I discovered John Moxley in 2012. He's my favorite wrestler ever, really.
yeah,
Even more than Shawn Michaels, because my favorite like idol was Shawn Michaels. But when I discovered not Dean Ambrose but John Moxley, I was like, this guy is incredible. I have goosebumps only by thinking of his promos, his matches, etc. And there are some fans that are actually annoying by saying, yeah, I know this guy from day one, and they blame you for not knowing him. Well, and you actually only know him when he was in WWE. But I get your point. Like, you can't talk shit about independent wrestling if you watch NXT.
yeah, and that's all I'm saying. I'm like, I don't want to tell everyone to do their homework on every wrestler. That's fine. You know, it's as the more people that like wrestling, the better, and the
Me,
more
I think.
people that can watch it and just enjoy it, because there's too many people that watch it critically without doing their homework. Now, if you're just going to watch it to have fun, watch it to have fun. Um, my most disappointing moment actually last year at WrestleMania weekend, we were talking about when IWS was part of the collective to put on a show on that same weekend. My most disappointing moment was going to the WrestleMania itself. I hadn't bought a ticket for a WWE event in years. I mean, once I became a wrestler, we were given it for promos, to hand out flyers or to do stuff. So I hadn't paid for a wrestling show in a while, and I even had some friends that would take me out to wrestling, so that when we would watch the match, they would say, "Oh, what's happening now?" And I would just kind of give them a lowdown, because for them, they felt cool going to a show with a wrestler, someone who knows what's happening and stuff,
Right.
behind just the match.
I had the
So
same experience with a fan nonetheless, so it was even more
yeah,
frustrating.
but the thing is, when I went myself, paid my ticket, and I watched the show from way up top, because again, I didn't want to go and spend a whole lot. I've seen it up close when I was a kid. That's when I enjoyed wrestling the most, was before I was a wrestler. But my most disappointing moment was seeing grown adults wearing merchandise, but old adults wearing, you know, a spinny belt and you know, a New Day T-shirt and a cap of this person. And I just thought, like, when I had started wrestling, it was for the kids. I understand it's all about money and merchandising, but the thing is, as I realized more and more, I was doing this for the kids. I was doing it for myself when I started. I wanted to be a wrestler, and that was my goal. But then as I evolved as a person and a wrestler, I realized that I love seeing kids' eyes light up, and when you touch their hand, that's a special moment for them. And you never know, because that kid you just touched his hand could be the next John Cena, could be the next Shawn Michaels. You never know, right?
You're the first one that say this that I actually admire. Like, there are people who think wrestling is just, you know, I do this for the kids, but they don't say it sincerely. They're like, you know, hypocritical because they don't give a fuck about the crowd. They're all into their stuff, and I can see you're saying it genuinely. So that's why I admire you.
It's a funny thing, because people will say that comes from Sexxxy Eddy, but I mean, he's all about his dick.
That's exactly what I thought.
And you know, I shaved my balls for the interview. You know, I'm just
oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah. So that's an exclusive. But you know, I shaved my balls since I said, hey, when do I get to go to Italy? I don't get to go to Italy that often. Actually, here's a little quick fun fact.
Oh my god!
The last time I visited Italy, my friend, the closest I've been to Italy was when I was in Cuba. I met a girl and we had sex for a few nights. She was from Rome, so she barely spoke English, but you know, this language is international.
This is universal, yeah, totally, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Actually, when it's Sexxxy Eddy, at least I got to use two fingers, right? You know what I'm saying? So
I'm all for the joystick stuff. Like, I'm all for the
there you
stuff.
go. Two in the pink and one in the stink. Exactly. You got all those combinations, man. That's good. Yeah. I like how you said at the beginning, we're not PG, so I ain't breaking any rules. And I ain't going to prison in Italy. No way.
No, I wasn't expecting you doing the pen stuff, by the way. I'm mind blown. I love this. I fucking love this.
So I'm sorry, do you see how we talked about kids and then we went to putting one finger in a girl's asshole and two in her pussy?
Actually,
see how that happened? It's crazy, but I do it for the kids. So if you could believe that, as I evolved as a wrestler, seeing kids' reactions, and it made me think back of what made me love professional wrestling, was being a kid and being in awe and seeing some of these larger-than-life characters, and it was like, wow. And that was a bonding moment that I also had with my father, and he would let me stay up late and watch Saturday Night Main Event once a month on a Saturday, and that was the only time I could stay up late, was to watch wrestling. And so that was a special moment that I had. So you know what? For every, I want to say boy and girl now, especially every child that they come to a show, for them, even if there's 200 people in the crowd, we're larger than life superstars to them. And even if we're making barely any money, we're doing it for the fun. That's where I realized I'm doing this for the kids, and having cousins, having nephews, having people come to the shows and being like, wow. And then when they see, even one of my friends, his son came to a couple shows, and every time he sees me, he's so shy and his eyes light up, but we play wrestling and stuff, and we play with his figurines. And so that made it more special for me. And I think I didn't see that aspect when I started. When I started, I wanted just for the pussy, man. I was like, man, if this gives me a career, cool. But I want to bang as many women as possible. That was, you know, kind of the beginning. But everyone should change and should evolve. And then I realized at WrestleMania weekend, when I saw so many adults wearing all the merch, and, you know, they pay $50 for a jersey. And then when we're at an independent show, we're trying to sell some merch and say, hey, $20. And some people are trying to like, how about 15 or how about 10? It's like, man, we're making a lot less money than these guys are. We're not making a living doing this. We all have side jobs and stuff. So you're already trying to cut down my price.
And then they pay like $600 for a fucking phone.
For WrestleMania a ticket and everything, and they're complaining about a $20 t-shirt. So for all those people, I say, fuck you. Because like I said, I was doing it as I realized, especially after that time, when I see kids at shows, And Sexxxy Eddy, believe it or not, the XXX Sex Express, I can be PG or I can be as dirty as you want to be. So again, it depends if you're working in a church basement or I will be wrestling at a strip club. Wherever I'll be wrestling, I adapt to my crowd. So yeah.
The point is you asked me how did we went from talking I do it for kids to how were you calling that, one in the stinks and the other two where the fuck they were.
It's two in the pink and one in the stink. It's
Two in the pink
shocker.
and one in the stink. All right, I can
Yeah,
I can get
like
it.
you had the joystick. You had the joystick. In each country, we have our own maneuvers to pleasure women.
This is the Spider-Man. This is how we call it. This is the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
This is the
Oh,
Spider-Man.
okay.
I
And
don't
it doesn't
know.
come out of your hand. The web doesn't come out of your hand. It comes out of your dick at the end, right?
Yeah, I
Bam.
think it is.
Cool.
And then I will tell it. But actually, here the Spider-Man is one on the wall, and the girl just down. Like we are actually climbing the wall. I don't know if it's possible, but anyway,
Everything is possible in the world of wrestling and sex. That's what I've realized throughout my 20 plus years in both of these. Everything is possible in the world of wrestling and sex. And when you combine them together, you get a wrestler like me.
You're fucking Superman, man. You're fucking Superman.
Exactly.
A man of steel and bolts of steel as well, like fucking Duke Nukem. But by the way, the point is, we went from I do it for the kids to the other thing. I don't want it to repeat because it's way too much. But anyway, it's like when I was 9, I was into WWE, of course, and TNA. And I watched like maybe the Spirit Squad getting fucking dumped everywhere. And I liked it. But I also watched Edge versus Mick Foley from WrestleMania 22, which actually got me into deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
And when I was like 13, it made 4 years, but better late than never. And the point is, when you're a kid, you start with the toys. Then you want to use them on girls, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You start with the rifle, and then you want to use the gun. That's what I mean. Like you went from being innocent, then you watch something and you're not innocent anymore. So you're probably maybe this kid is idolizing me because I'm funny, but in like 10 years we could be together drinking beer and fuck ladies. I mean, that's what I personally think, at least. Like I have a little brother is 15, and I have a big one who is 35 and another one who has 15. I'm 24. So I watch him, and I see a future man. So you do it for the kids because they're gonna grow up someday. At least that's what I think. And talking about your character, because we were into sex for like 20 minutes. So your gimmick is all about fucking maniac. You also like showed up at the collective, and I'm not joking. It was literally naked. It was all covering his, you understood it.
That's when the fine line of gimmick and lifestyle kind of blend. And it's funny because it started as a gimmick, which started as me wanting to meet girls. If I play a sexy character, it was very hard because it wasn't as convincing. Once I became more comfortable and more perverted and more devious, that's when I was able to learn a little bit more. And I was more comfortable in my underwear than I was wearing clothes. So meeting girls after shows, no problem. But then a one-on-one situation, I was kind of nervous because I was always like, well, I don't know what to do. Usually the girl just looks at my underwear, looks at my crotch, and then you know what? The door's open because now there's nothing wrong I can do. I'm looking at her cleavage. She's looking at my cock. So, but when I have all my clothes on, it was kind of like, I wasn't secure with myself. And so once I understood the character better, though, I was able to become more sexy and then become almost the character kind of took me over. And I was doing a lot that maybe I should calm down, but I was invincible in the ring and invincible in the bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, you
So, you
gain
know,
confidence. That's normal. But what I want to ask you is something actually more serious, because what mind blowed me, and I'm not talking about blowjobs. I was thinking about really about surprising things, is that when the speaking out movement came out,
yeah.
they they did they blame you for your gimmick? Because I mean, you're not a rapist. Yeah, I can say it. You're a funny guy. You have a really funny gimmick. Well, it's not only a gimmick, but anyway, you understood.
Yeah.
Did they blame you? Because everyone gets offended. I can get it when they don't want people to use the N word or the F word, but like, gimmick is gimmick. When you don't portray fucking Adolf Hitler is okay. I mean, like, you're not a Nazi, you're not a rapist. So what I want to ask you is, did someone blame you for your gimmick during the when the speaking out movement actually dropped out?
Here's the funniest part is that one of my guys in charge of some of my social media, who helps me when I need help to set up for things, and he told me to stay low, hide for a couple weeks because everyone was getting into trouble. All of a sudden, it happened overnight where, you know, you snapped your fingers and you were just seeing tweets and Instagram messages and Facebook messages about people that were doing, they said, this person did this person touched me the wrong way, this person looked at me the wrong way, this person was bullying me and abusive and this and that. And so he told me to lay low. And actually, one of the main guys from the IWS was telling my guy, who takes care of some of my media stuff, that helps me out. He said, is Eddie going to get in trouble? Is Eddie going to get in trouble? And all the girls in wrestling that I've talked to, they're like, no, Eddie's a sweetheart. Eddie's a great guy. Eddie's a nice guy. And that's the thing. At first I was worried because of my character, but then I was like, well, wait, I can't remember doing anything rude, um, where I took control or where I took kind of power or anything like that. I'm like, for me, the hottest thing in a girl is when the girl wants you. If
Me
you have to
too.
push, if you have to
I
push
like
too
it.
hard, if you have to push too hard, but if she's after you and she's interested, then that turns me on. So,
100% right. You're
you,
right. You're totally
you know what
right.
I mean? So, but if you have to push too hard on a girl, I'm like, you know what? Find another girl. Maybe you'll have something that'll click, a little spark or something. And even if it's a one
Agree.
night stand, I tell a lot of wrestlers, the guys would brag to me, man, at every show I'm having a one night stand. And I say, hey, dude, listen up. Here's advice from Sexxxy Eddy. This is from the heart of Sexxxy Eddy. Telling you, man, a one night stand don't mean anything. If she really liked it, she'll be coming back for more and more and more. And that's what you want. You want to leave them wanting more, whether it's in the ring or in the bedroom. Like I say, sex and wrestling, they go together like macaroni and cheese, peanut butter and jelly. It's delicious. I want to put them all in my mouth.
That's good. I actually all with it, but uh yeah, I totally agree 100%. I don't know what to say,
I hope
but
I
I
answered.
agree.
Did I answer the question? So I
Of
thought
course,
maybe
of
things. I
course.
thought maybe people would come back and say some things, but then I was like, wait, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything that was not okay. All the girls that I had sex with, whether it be wrestlers, managers, referees, fans, um, we were all cool with it. So, you know, there was nothing. It was a learning experience for all of us. That's how I
What
look at it.
what I'm surprised to hear is that I was right when I thought that sexual maniacs use candies and not dildos. That's a thing that is in my mind since like day one, because I have, you know, I can't stand pedophiles and, sexual assaulters anyway. But
I always tell people, like, man, whatever you're into, if nobody's getting hurt and everyone's having fun,
yeah,
and
sex is about fun. I mean,
I'm not gonna judge because I'm not. There's some things that I'm like, wow, okay, that's too much for me. But if they're having fun, cool, cool. If you know, sometimes you'd be surprised. You'd be like, here's a married couple, and they have three kids, and the kids play soccer and football and everything. But whatever they do in the bedroom to have fun together, and if it keeps their marriage and if it keeps everyone happy, then God bless you. You know, no one's getting hurt, and that's what I'm all for. I'm into everybody having fun. There'd probably be a lot less wars in the country if everyone's having more fun, which is going to be hard now for the people coming out of COVID to go back into having fun.
I'm pretty sure there are gonna be a lot of kids when COVID gets, go fuck himself.
I'm trying to plan too, if we can plan one in every country on the same day, the international orgy that, you know what, when they say, oh, COVID's cured, we all go in the streets naked, fuck everybody, and it's going to be a real fuck fest, you know? I'd like to do this.
Use your condoms. For those who do it, use your fucking condoms, of course.
Exactly. You know, of course, it's going to be sponsored by Trojan. Of course, I have that all taken care of. And, it's a big plan that I'd like to do. And, because when you're fucking, you're not fighting. That's what I'm saying. So less wars and more sex. That's the message of Sexxxy Eddy.
You know, I always say it in Italy, like, I won't say it in Italy, but in Italian, because it's too quickly, too difficult. But we say you only slap a girl on the ass during sex. That's the only thing you have to do. Or at least if it's into BDSM, you can slap her in the face. Sure. If she's consensual.
If she's cool with that, yeah.
That's consensual is better in wrestling and in
exactly. And there's gonna be when COVID is done, I'm thinking about the idea too, because Sexxxy Eddy might be too offensive for some people. So I might end up being consensual Eddy when this is all over. We'll see, And
Sexxxy Eddy is fine with me, 100%. Well,
I mean, I've had my fun and I've done my sexiness, but again, I can't kid the fans all the time. I mean, I'm not what I used to be 20 years ago. So you know what? If people be like, hey, the first time at a wrestling show, that guy's not sexy. They're like, okay, well, 20 years ago I was. So now I might end up being consensual Eddy. And, it's evolution. That's the way of the times, right?
Neither Kevin Nash was it was big, but it wasn't a daddy, and it wasn't even cool. So fuck it. I mean, you can be Sexxxy Eddy whenever you want and for all the time you want.
Thank you, brother.
So I think it's all. But before we stop this, I want to ask you one more question, because I always do this in the end of each podcast. Who do you want to face more when all the restriction go fuck themselves, and you can actually go back in the ring whenever you want? Who would you like to face?
So I guess there was one name that I kind of thought of. I can tell you, actually, first thing is an opponent that I can't wait to wrestle with as a tag team again. It's my good friend. It's from the U.S. when everything is okay with the borders. Puff.
He's awesome. I love Puff. I fucking love Puff.
And me and him together, we're like 16 years difference in age, but our mentality is so close, where we both see the same ideas of entertainment in this world of wrestling. So I can tell you, I can't wait to tag team again with him and have fun in the ring and entertain. That's one thing that I can't wait to do. But as an opponent, and I've thought of this a few times, it's changed. Again, when your style changes, when you evolve, when you wrestle smarter, not harder. Okay, when you wrestle smarter.
Less is better sometimes, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, again, other than the bedroom, because some people will say, "Hey, man, it's not the motion of the ocean; it's the how you float your boat or whatever." And I say, "Well, look, if my ocean is rocking and I have the Titanic, then I have all the power is in my hands, basically, or in my pants." So but as wrestlers evolve, they realize their maybe skills or things have changed. And so if ever this could happen, it would be against Dustin Runnels, but as Goldust. I
fucking love to see that. I'm a huge Goldust fan. I mean, I'm a mark for some people, but I love Goldust both when he was the natural, I love Dustin both when he was the natural, when he was Goldust, not when he was Seven or Black Rain because that was fucking
No,
pathetic.
that nobody knows about that. But the thing is, it's like watching his passion come back, wrestling some of these
He's
younger
awesome.
guys,
He's awesome.
and yeah, I just thought, you know what? Even if it's all character wise, we can do some interesting stuff. We'll still do some wrestling, but that's one name that pops up in my head. Other than that, I tell promoters, you don't need to see me headline against someone on a show because whatever match you put me in, you're guaranteed to see entertainment, you're guaranteed to get your money's worth, and you're guaranteed to leave home satisfied. That's so wherever I'm
That's
at,
what we
I
as
want to have
fans
fun.
pay for. That's what we as fans pay
Yes,
for. Actually,
we're
I'd
doing it.
pay.
We're doing it for you. I know a lot of wrestlers when we start out, we do it for ourselves to try and get to maybe Vince McMahon is going to watch my match. And it's like, you know what? He has other things to do better than watching hundreds and thousands of matches. He's got other things to do. He's got a business to run. He's got a family to take care of, grandkids to take care of. So you got to realize as you get older, you're like it's not always what you do, it's what you know, and it's hide your weaknesses and showcase your strengths, and know what you're good at. Get better at what you're not good at, but at the same time, like they say, a lot of wrestlers will say, you got to show them what brought you to the dance. If this made you famous or made you kind of known, don't say I don't want to do this anymore. Again, like an example, some artists, they get famous with one song and then 20 years later they say, I'm retiring the song, I don't want to play it anymore. No, man, people want to hear that one song. They want to hear your other songs, but they want to hear that one song. So you got to keep giving them what brought you there. So that's something that I've always believed in, and changing your style to make companies or certain people look at you, I think that's not genuine. And that's why some people have asked me with deathmatch wrestling, well, why don't you wear more clothes? And I said, look, people paid
Because you
to see this
fucking have,
guy
yeah.
get in his underwear, take off his clothes, and do the whole dance and everything like that. I'm going to give it to them, whether it's a death match, whether it's a fun tuxedo match, whether it's any kind of wrestling a girl match, wherever it is, you're going to get Sexxxy Eddy. And that's one thing that I can guarantee to all the fans.
Yeah, I I thought about this while you were talking, while I was listening to you. I was thinking about the fact that Dustin Runnels, for those who don't know, Dustin Rhodes, who is now in AEW, or Goldust for those who know him better, is like I think is awesome. Is amazing. Like is a workhorse, man, because it's
Yeah.
50, and as you said, you have to improve what you don't actually you're not as good as other things in, but he actually did that. He not only accentuated the positives, the capacity of telling a good story, being a natural, because he's always being a natural in the ring, but he also like entered in the mentality, he embraced the mentality of today's wrestling, because he does moonsaults and he's 50. That is beyond. You're slamming an open door to this, because it's fucking good. He's a maniac. He's a natural. A
And I know
name.
he could do any kind of style of wrestling. And when I watched him wrestle his brother, I teared up. And I think the last time I had teared up, maybe in a wrestling match, I'm going to go back to Owen Hart and Bret Hart. Because,
WrestleMania
again,
10 or SummerSlam 1980.
you know what? I think when the Martha, the mom, she threw in the towel.
Survivor
That
Series
was
1994. That
Wow,
was.
look, you're like an encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge. I have unfortunately too many concussions to remember what I had for breakfast 2 days ago.
You're
But
talking
you can
about the match with Bob Backlund at Survivor Series 1994. That's the
actually,
one.
yeah. So Bob was in Brett's corner, and it was right, and it was
British Bulldog was in Brett's corner, I think.
wow, yeah, okay. So that was something that me too. It felt because you had already before the story even started, or when they play it a little bit, it's a brother versus brother. And I can tell you, in any professional sport, whether it be football, soccer, rugby, anything where you have 2 or 3 family members that make it to the top level of that sport is amazing. So when you have them fighting each other, it's a special moment. And it's like with the Hardy Boys too, you know, that there's like feuds that already it transcends storylines because there's the reality in there. And they could say stories of, oh, Kane and Undertaker, brothers of destruction. Yes, like it's a storyline. But when you
They're
got
knowledge
real
brothers.
right? When you got the real brothers and fighting each other, and it's just like there's something there because you, as also you have 2 brothers. You know, my brother was 2 years difference from me, so we more got into fist fights and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's where you can understand where this is how I looked at it when I was younger. I can beat up my brother, but if anybody touches a finger on him, they're getting their ass kicked. Exactly. So that's something. And when you see them fight and when you see them give it their all, and when you see them hit each other harder than they'd hit other opponents, that goes right to your heart and you feel it. And when wrestling can go into a fan's heart, I'm like, wow, this is emotions. This is storytelling. This is a moment that will stay in our minds forever. And that's when I realized, hey, I want to make moments. I want to make these things that will last forever in fans' minds. It's not about who wins or loses. It's about who makes the best moments. And that's when I really had the epiphany and realized that who am I doing this for? Not for myself. I'm over the hill. I'm not going to be on the main platform or the main stage. But if I can help someone, anyone, get to where they need to get, even be a writer for WWE because of an idea that I sparked in their head when they were a young fan, then you know what? I've done something good. And that's when I kind of felt like I had done full circle as a wrestler and as an entertainer, to give back, to pay it forward to the fans of today.
Yeah, I have a personal theory, and I went really emotional listening to you right now. But I have a theory: when one thing, one story, one script, one match in its entirety is written good, if there is a good script behind it, everything can be done in pro wrestling. Because if you think that the most famous character is a guy who throws lightning from his fingers and is a dead man as he has resurrected, but when there is perspective, as I will probably get crucified for saying this, when David Starr say that when David Starr said that, I was really captivated into it. He was talking about perspective, because I'm a socialist. So I was into the storyline with him and Jordan Devlin in OTT, the match that got 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. And that was not only a wrestling story, that was a human story. So, that was real. I mean, you can tell me it's fake, and I won't say it's real. It's still real to me, damn it. But I will say it. You can't fake emotions. That's what professional wrestling is all about for me. Yeah, I love to see Karl Gotch. I love to see Luthez. I want to see Pat O'Connor. But I also love to see Bret Hart and Owen Hart. I also love to see Matt Tremont retiring in H2O. I mean, I love to see you continue your match after you cut your fucking artery. Wrestling is about emotion. That's what it's all about.
I just want to say thank you for knowing so much, and for maybe not being there live when some of these things happen, but reviewing some of these DVDs, because when you look back at what happened before, it helps you understand
history
what's
tends to repeat
now.
Itself. That's
too,
what I think.
And I mean, I love it when people came up to me and said, the first time, we can't even say his name in wrestling anymore, Joey Ryan. It's like when somebody said, hey, he just stole your dick flip, and it's like a few years later, and I looked at it as, you know what? He knows how to use social media better. He knows how to use the internet better, and good for him. That means somebody's watching what I'm doing. And when not too long ago, I think it was on NXT. I'm not going to get her name right, but Shirai, like an Asian girl, I will say.
Io Shirai, I think.
Io Shirai. And sorry for again, too many beers in. She jumped off the cage with a garbage can, and it's like, it's not at all what I did.
I saw that I instantly thought about you, literally.
And I had an outpouring of messages saying, hey, look at this, look at this. And you know what? For me, that's flattering. I get a lot of people that'll write me things like, hey, this person did this. Aren't you mad? And I'm like, no, that just means that, you know what? Maybe I influenced someone when they were starting out, or maybe when they were younger. And look, they're on that platform. To me, that's a thank you. That's all. That's what that means. And I'm never going to be mad at someone else's success. I think that's a waste of time, a waste of negative emotions. I'm all about, man, I'd pat them on the back, and I'd hope that if I meet them, we'd run into each other someplace, that they would, shake my hand, that they wouldn't be like, oh, indie wrestler, you know what I mean? At least if they'd be like, hey, cool, what's up? And so that's it. If I can influence other wrestlers, or if I can influence, like I say, fans at a young age, that, you know what, 30 years later, you see them do something that you did when you were younger, and then you find out in an interview that the first independent show was in your town, and they saw you and they remembered you, like, man, that's going to make me warm in the heart, and that's going to make me tear up, because I'll be, I know I helped in the wheels of wrestling evolution, that even if it wasn't me personally, indirectly, I was able to help it get to where it is, and help make someone's passion for what I used to have a passion for. I don't want to say I don't have a passion anymore. I love wrestling, but I'm not as passionate as I used to be. But if I can give that passion to other people, by teaching them, by talking to them, by giving them advice, by doing a show, a match, and that they watch me in the ring, and that they're that it just makes them remember that for years to come, then you know what? I did my job, and I don't need to hold hundreds of titles to say that I'm the best at whatever I did. I'm just happy when people come up to me, especially wrestlers, and they come up to me and they tell me, man, I was front row when you did this show, and like, man, it was incredible. And, I couldn't get my eyes off you, your character, you were into everything. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you for telling me this, because now if ever we get to wrestle each other, I'm going to give you everything that I can give you, like the natural Dustin Reynolds does, like Cody Rhodes does, like a lot of wrestlers now I'm seeing. And it's nice to see when wrestlers, they call it an expression, they phone it in. They don't phone it in if they're just like doing the regular moves and that's it. So it's really nice to see when some wrestlers, they're going the limits, and you're seeing like even Matt Hardy was like, some certain wrestlers will evolve and will be able to, you know what, start over, clean the slate, and then start with another character. And I find that's amazing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I don't get it when wrestlers, I mean, you want to get credit for that, but I don't get it when wrestlers get mad at people copying themselves. Like, I was watching Yoshitatsu versus Jun Kazai from All Japan Pro Wrestling today. Yeah. It was a TLC match when actually Jun Kazai won the Gaora TV Championship. So cheers to him. He's one of the best.
Exactly. One of the best. Jun Kazai. I didn't get a chance to meet him when I was in Japan. I would have loved to. It didn't happen. But, and even for the collective for this year, it didn't happen because, again,
I was looking forward to the 8 Club versus Takeda and Kazai. But when I
can tell you at the collective, you would have seen Sexxy Eddy maybe back on top. But, again, things happened. It happened to everyone.
Shit happens. You had to face Casanova Valentine. I was looking forward to that too.
I had a couple good matches planned, and again, a lot of stuff happened. But and even then, even after COVID, with, like you say, with the movement that happened afterwards, it changed a lot of stuff that could have happened. But you know what? That's life, and we're all living through it. So we all gotta stick together, man, and that's it. Like, we'll see who's around after this happens, after the pandemic.
I hope more people. as more people as possible. But what I was trying to say is, not Jun Kazai, I think it was, yeah, it was Yoshitatsu, because he bladed himself.
Yeah.
The Terry Funk spot with the ladder, so everyone is copying everyone. Everyone has always been done, has already been done. So there's no more Gorgeous George, no more people adding team songs during their entrance. There's no chic, terrifying people in the first place. There's no more Bruiser Brody, embracing the character. Cheers to Bruiser Brody and fucking Vader One, by the way. Listen to it, the Turnbuckle. They did a pretty awesome song about that.
Yeah.
And they've already do pretty much everything, and you can only repeat history. History can only be repeated, and that's it. There's been only one Brand Danielson, only one Lutez, only one Hulk Hogan, and that's it. And
there should only be one of each also. We all come out from, when we start wrestling, we start with our inspirations, and yes, we copy or we take from. But once we end up finding ourselves, we take from their ideas, we take from their moves. But once we find ourselves, and we truly find ourselves as a wrestler, that's when we break off, and that people could say, hey, inspired from, as they could tell me, inspired from Rick the Model Martel, Ravishing Rick Rude, Shawn Michaels, Val Venus. There's a bunch of names, but there's a lot of things that I did on my own. And now that I've done stuff, people might even say, if they've done their homework, and they'd be, hey, this person might have been inspired by Sexxxy Eddy. So for me, that's huge
mind-blowing. Yeah. I get it.
And it's something that's nice to pass on, because again, like I said, as much as I loved wrestling when I was younger, once I started wrestling, I kind of stopped watching wrestling because I thought it might influence what I do. It's like a magician, and I tell people, is the perfect example. If you know how to cut a woman in half, it's not gonna have that magical effect on you anymore.
Yeah,
because you'll know.
You're not the first one saying me that.
And I always want to. I'm always going to be like, and I want to keep being like that. So, some things are better left a mystery in life, and that's how I see it. So I love to see kids' eyes light up as if the first time they'd see Santa Claus when they see a wrestling show, and then they see Sexxy Eddy, and they see me dancing, taking a beating, doing a big flip. Whatever I'm doing, they're into it. And then they're dancing with me at the end of the show. We're all dancing. Everyone's dancing together and having a good time. That's what they remember, a good time. So.
And I think we're at the end of this interview. I really thank you, and I will say it in French as well. Merci beaucoup.
Grazie.
That's actually no, it's not a stereotype. We actually do this.
Did I insult? I do not want to insult any. Okay,
no.
I'll do it this way. Watch. You said this. The other one. Grazie.
Grazie.
Grazie. That's for the girls. Grazie.
I hope we can see your Sexxxy Eddy and his 3-pack in Italy, and his 6-pack, because I think he has always he still has a 6-pack actually. But he's sleeping.
You're so sweet. No, stop it.
He's sleeping.
Oh, stop it.
And girl with a mustache as always. It's okay.
You know what? And when I knew I was doing this show, I said, you know what? I gotta look good. I gotta look sharp. And you know what? So yeah, just for you, brother.
I hope to see you here in Italy someday or another. For those who don't follow Sexxxy Eddy, watch his matches from back in the day, watch his performance in the clusterfuck, because he's a fucking maniac, and try to drink, perform, and fuck as much as he did without dying, because that's what you have to do in life. You only live fucking once. So follow the Tales from the Prick podcast, subscribe my channel, follow Sexxxy Eddy, like this video, and see you next time, fuckers. Say hi, Eddie.
Yeah!